Good morning. It's Ramon again. First of all, thank you for just clicking on it. It is imperative to me that I make some changes in people's lives however I can. The most effective tool in changing a life is the Word and a relationship with God. That's the only thing I know foolproof that's gonna work in spite of what you're doing, what you've done, what you plan on doing, where you are, where you plan on going. All those things, they do not matter. The Word can still change you from the inside out. And still want to encourage you, to keep pressing towards the mark of the high calling. Like your purpose is far beyond this physical experience we're going through. But anyway, I'm going to start with the scripture. And this particular scripture is not one of the cliche ones that we read all the time. Maybe in church you may hear it often, but it's not one of the ones that anybody can just jump off the top of their head and recite. Anyway, my particular reading is Psalms 139, 1 through 10. I'll just read and pray that God would give me the rest once I get to 10. It reads, O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou searchest out my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is no word in my mouth, but Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thy hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. Where shall I go from thy spirit? Or where shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there, of course. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there too. If I take wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the seas, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. There is not one thing you can do to separate yourself from the Spirit and the presence of God Himself. There is no mind frame. There is no point of view. There is no perspective that can separate you from the fact of God. You see, no matter what you think, no matter whether you agree or not, whether you read the Bible and believe or not, whether you watch certain Christian television shows and get your Sunday morning church on TV or not, the fact of the matter is God is real. With that reality comes an unlimited wisdom and unlimited knowledge to you as an individual, directly just you. He has searched and known you. He knows where you will go. He knows where you're coming from. He knows everything about you. The fact of the matter is, or our objective per se, is that we would get to know Him that he would reveal those things to us. That way we could be the most sufficient and authentic us we could be. Because just like a computer, if there is something wrong with your computer, and say for instance you take it to the Geek Squad and they just cannot figure it out, like for some reason your first step is to go to the Geek Squad. You go to to whatever location they got, and you pull your laptop out and you say, well, my laptop no longer does this, or my computer just started doing this. I saw the blue screen of death. Geek Squad's gonna look at it and they're gonna try to do the best that they can. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna look at it. They're gonna try to cut it on. They may take it apart here and there, but they're gonna do the best that they can to fix your computer. I guarantee you, they're gonna do the best that they can. When Geek Squad fails, then where do you go? Say for instance, it's an Apple. That's who. My laptop is a Toshiba. Yeah, it ain't Dell and all that other mess. But anyway, it's a laptop, and obviously it works efficiently enough. But my laptop is a Toshiba. So if I were in that particular predicament, my next step after Geek Squad, if I so choose to go, is going to be back to Toshiba. That's who I need to call if I really want to get some answers in regards to how this thing works, because they knew the computer before all the pieces got put together. They knew this computer before they added the operating system. They had a vision of what they wanted this computer to be, even in regards to the size of the screen. They knew exactly how many USB ports they wanted on this computer before it was put together. Does anybody catch my drift? He has searched you and known you. If you really want to know exactly why you were placed in the will of God, because ultimately that's where you are. Whether the thing that draws the benefit from it is if we are aware of being in the will of God and taking our place in it. Once we realize, okay, this is what's going on. This is God's will. Okay, let me jump in. But if you really want to know that, and you want to get to the bottom of anything, just like this, especially regarding yourself, just like I would do with this computer, I would go to the manufacturer. It says in Genesis 1, God created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Which means he seems to be a manufacturer of reality. That's what I would give him, because the place we exist and the place we want to exist are already in creation. He created, past tense, the heavens and the earth. So, if you really want to get to knowing yourself, you have to get to know the God that made you. That's where the real you exists. And some people, whom I have much compassion for, don't believe that. They really believe that they sustain themselves, and they are not as inclined to believe that God is real. And this is not for your opinion. Please believe this is not so we can argue, so I can prove, this is not for me to prove that God is real to you. He does that himself every day when you find some strange way that you keep waking up in the morning. He does that to me every day. So there's nothing else he has to prove to me, nor is there anything else I have to prove to you. in regards to God's reality. It is my obligation to prove to you that I believe that God is real. That I do have to show. But I can't prove to you the fact itself that God is real. He's done that already. And sometimes it's imperative for us to let go of some of these fears of people's perceptions and opinions and just follow him. See, ultimately, it's not that opinion that's going to get you progression. When people start to say and think, if that's what they call it, and do particular things that they would consider to alter your perception of life and what's real to you, then we fall victim just because we are paying it too much attention. I can't afford to pay everything attention. I can't afford it. I don't have the attentional capacity to pay out. My bank account in regards to attention is almost in the negative. Like I really don't have a lot of attention to pay. I don't. So now I have to spend my attention wisely. I can't just go looking and listening and believing and even caring about everything. In regards to my emotions, yes, I will love, and that I'm going to pay some attention to it. I really don't have a choice. So that goes without saying. But I want to know certain things about me. So now that I know my attention account is short, I have to make sure that I'm attending to things that are going to help me to progress and going to reveal parts of me to myself. I encourage you to pay attention to what matters, not people's opinions. Get to know God and go back to the manufacturer. If you feel like you're broken, some buttons don't work, some buttons used to work, you need to add new buttons on. You need to take some buttons off. You need your charger fixed. Anything, if you are broken in any place in your life, go back to the manufacturer. He can reset you. And in resetting you, you are then set free. And you're not going to have to go back to some geek squad or some temporary fix for your problem. You have to let God do it. He's the manufacturer. He made you. He has searched you and known you wherever you go. Not just physically. Not if I go to the Bahamas, I'm too far. No, wherever you go in your mind. Wherever your heart goes emotionally. Wherever your demeanor ends up, God is there, still waiting for you to be exactly who he made you to be. We have to turn around then and ask him, God, who am I? Since you've searched me and known me, you know when I sit down, you know when I get up, you know when I'm asleep, you know when I'm woke, you know when I'm eating, you know when I'm drinking, you know when I'm not doing anything. You just know. So please tell me. And he'll do it. He will reveal to you exactly who you are. And he will even teach you to be content with it. See, being beautiful in my skin or loving the skin I'm in has nothing to do with, I just enjoy who I am. And despite of the mistakes I made, I'm still me. And I don't care what you think. Because I love the skin I'm in. I done made mistakes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is ultimately true. But loving the skin you're in is not settling for being a slave to sin. Because that's exactly what's happening. Loving the skin you're in has nothing to do with being content with being an occasional or even consistent sinner. Loving the skin you're in is realizing what the skin was made for, its ultimate purpose, and fulfilling it. And breaking away from those things that hinder, hurt, and cause you to fall short in regards to the will of God. That's what loving the skin you're in means. It's not settling for sin. It's settling for salvation. Skin is going to feel much better when it knows that the inside is just as good as the outside. That's how you love the skin you're in. Love comes from the inside anyway. Love doesn't come from the outside. So love isn't an outside trait. Love has to come from the inside. And in order for you to love the skin you're in, you're gonna have to learn what's under the. You have to learn to love what's under the skin, and then you got to learn what's under the skin, and then you got to go deep. You got to love the heart that you have. You have to then love the mind that you have. You then have to love the spirit that you have. You then have to love the demeanor that you have. And if some of those things you don't like about yourself, then you really don't love the skin that you're in. There's a better version of you that you could be, and you've fallen short of being it just because you're content with not being it. Even with not liking the things about ourselves. We are not supposed to settle for things we don't like about ourselves. We're supposed to be content that we have knowledge that we don't have to be that way anymore. That's where contentment comes from. It's not the fact of where we are. It's the possibility of being able to be somewhere else. That's where contentment comes from. If you ever want to be content with who you are and what you are and why you are here, go back to the manufacturer. Go back to God himself. He'll fix it. In spite of what you feel, do understand this. Emotions were not given to us to control situations. It's the one thing that causes us to fall so short in so many situations, how we feel about a thing. Emotions were not given to us to control situations. They were given to us to get through them. Not given to us to control situations, but given to us to get through them. Let God use you however you do it, however you yield yourself. Let him use you.